Hey, what's up everybody, Adausa here, and in this video I want to talk to you about a concept known as graceful degradation, or the positive version, graceful upgrading. And the context that I'm recording this video in right now is that I'm working at a co-working space here in Bali, Indonesia, and I have a pretty strict routine when I'm working on my computer because I hate working on my computer. And basically I use something called the Pomodoro technique, where every 25 minutes I'll take a break for 5 minutes and then come back. And part of the reason why I do that is because if I stay still for more than 25 minutes, then that'll start having a negative effect on my body, both at the metabolic level. About between 20 and 40 minutes, you start like your metabolism changes, you start breaking down glucose less, your insulin sensitivity changes. But then also from the body fluency, muscular point of view, things start to get like rigid. The kind of coils of fascia web start to weave around your muscles. But if you just stand up and then move around and do stuff every 5 minutes, then you're pretty good to go. And in my case, I don't just kind of walk around and move around, but basically all day I'm doing these types of movements, and just kind of now is just spontaneous for me, just kind of just part of my everyday living. And as a result, people will notice. So today, after one of my breaks, a guy came out and he's like, "Hey man, I see you're always kind of like moving and stretching or something like that. Yeah, what's that about?" And then we started talking. He's like, "Yeah, I sit down and I started having a lot of pain here. I can't really walk here as well, blah, blah, blah." And he starts telling me about all his pains he started getting the past year as a result of sitting at his computer. And when I look around, because I get up every 25 minutes, I kind of notice everybody else. And I reckon the average amount of continuous sit time for people is about probably like 3 to 4 hours, it seems. Like I very rarely see people get up. Everyone's kind of squinted. I cannot do that. That'll mess me up. And now bringing it to the concept here of a graceful degradation. So what is a graceful degradation? What's that term mean? It's actually from like a lot of things in body fluency, computer science, people who study networks. And to give an example, say you're watching Netflix, you're living in Alabama and you're watching Netflix, and that video feed is coming into you through a network of servers. There's some kind of original source, and then it's bing, 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 pinging through like a server here in Atlanta, a server here, et cetera, et cetera. And then these are physical entities that will thus encounter physical reality and have problems. So maybe like a wire fries, or a chipmunk chews on something or something, and then boom, this server goes down, or this piece of physical infrastructure goes down, and therefore the pathway that was carrying your Netflix series is now broken. What happens? Well, you can't just have your Netflix series drop and then service disconnected. You need to reroute that signal through some other series of servers to get to your television screen. And what that process is called, when they program that in, they call that a graceful degradation. And what that means is that the entire quality of the network, the fluency of the network, you can say, has degraded because one of the nodes went down. Something broke in the system. So the whole system is degraded. But that degradation was graceful because it didn't impede the overall functionality of the system. You didn't notice. Your Netflix series continued to run smoothly, and you had no idea what was happening behind the scenes. So that is what you call graceful degradation. As you can imagine, it's very important in computer science because you're making these systems and you want to make sure that when they inevitably fail, they continue to work. So that's a graceful degradation, and that is exactly what is experienced by that guy who was speaking to me and everyone else all the time. When you're moving, or not, most people don't move at all, but even when you are moving and you're not moving in a fully fluent, perfect way, then what's happening is that the fascia is growing around things, different things are programming, and your network, your body network over time is becoming less fluent. So for the most part, on a daily basis, you're becoming slightly less fluent in some part of your body. If you move, depending on the movements you do, if you're running and you're doing kind of natural movements, then you can improve your fluency, or at the least kind of slow down that degradation. But for the most part, people spend their days, you can imagine like a graph of your fluency, just like slowly inching down each day. And then periodically, maybe once every couple of months or maybe a couple of weeks, depending on how old you are, you get these big drops, like a big, and you just kind of wake up one day like, ah, and then you're like, your back spasms or whatever. Like, what's going on there? Understand that if you just kind of randomly injure yourself, just like walking or standing or breathing, you didn't do anything in that moment. You had this accumulation of degradation that was graceful, which is to say that you didn't notice it. So the word graceful here kind of has a interesting kind of ironic meaning to it because it always sounds kind of nice. Oh, graceful. But in graceful degradation, it's good in the fact that, just because your bicep disconnected from your pec minor, you didn't like collapse and, die. You can still kind of live your life and do stuff. That's the beauty of the body. But it's not good because you're degrading, right? So this is what's happening to people on a daily basis. Just slowly degrading, and then you have these big drops, these giant degradations that can alter, and then that adds up because now you're walking funny, and that funny walk is actually inching you down even faster, and then you just keep spiraling down. And then one of the biggest killers of old people, obviously you have the actual like thing that kills yourself, but one of the biggest killers is breaking a hip or some kind of serious body injury that now keeps you bedridden and then messes up your metabolism, your psychology, and then everything else just finish you off, right? So it's very serious stuff. It's graceful degradation. So now switching to the positive, what would the opposite of a graceful degradation be? Well, that would be a graceful upgrade. So in a graceful upgrade, what's happening is you are reconfiguring your entire network the same way that you would and the Netflix would when a server goes down. You're reconfiguring the whole network, except now you're reconfiguring in a way where there's more fluency in that network. Things are better. More links, more nodes come online, and it's graceful because you're still functioning. Usually when you do a major upgrade, it's like, oh, completely different. I can't function. I have to adjust to this. But no, in a graceful update, you do a major upgrade, and then you continue to function, but you're functioning better. And this is what I have been experiencing every day for the past almost 2 years now since I've come up with body fluency. And what's happening is that I'm spontaneously, gracefully upgrading, or just spontaneously upgrading for short. That's what I'm doing. That's what that guy noticed I do at the gym, basically, or at the office rather. All day, I just walk around and just now it's so deep into my, habit and unconscious that I'm just kind of naturally doing it. I'm naturally feeling where blockages are occurring in my body, and I'm naturally doing my technique to unblock it. I'm just kind of, unclogging a thing here, untwisting something here, unkinking something here. Just kind of happening naturally. Now I can do like a more serious session where I'm sitting there with my anatomy app open and I'm thinking more critically, and I do like a bigger unblocking because I'm actually targeting things. But really, I imagine most of my progress is just from the fact that I've trained myself throughout the day to just be like, ooh. And it's very low to zero effort, and it's very pleasurable. It feels nice, and I get this slight upgrade, so I'm just kind of like a little bit more powerful, feeling good. Even just now, I was sitting down after a Muay Thai class. I was throwing my jab a lot in here, and then I felt like a little bit of like a sensation in my bicep, and then I'm sitting there, I'm kind of like, what's going on? Bicep, I access my mental fluency, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me connect my bicep better to the rest of my body, and then I do something, and then I do like a major upgrade, bam, and I'm like, oh, wow, jab's been improved, that sensation went away, things are flowing, upgrade. Whereas if I didn't have that mental fluency, I'd just sit there and be like, oh, my bicep feels funny, and then I'll just let that accumulate, and then over time, a year or two, I show up at the boxing class, and then I can't fight anymore because my bicep is all messed up and I can't throw punches because I slowly but gracefully degraded over that time period. Okay? So that's the concept, graceful degradation, graceful upgrade. Really what my mission is here with body fluency is to install not just the mental fluency so that you know how to upgrade your network, but also just the habit so that you're spontaneously upgrading your network all the time. Which sounds like a lot, but just consider all the times in the day that you do something like this. You just kind of do or shake it out. Some sort of physical movement that is in response to a discomfort or a feeling you have in your body in that moment. Now, most of what you do when you do that isn't really helping you. In fact, some of it's probably even slightly accelerating your graceful degradation. Uh, Imagine if you replace all those moments with something that was really upgrading you, really making a difference. Not like a massive one because it's just like a quick movement, but a significant one, a meaningful one. How many times a day do you do that? Who knows? Maybe 100, 200, I don't know. Imagine if every day, 200 times a day, you just upgraded your network. Where would you go? And remember I told you before how when you're downgrading, go beep, 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 bang, beep, 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 bang. It's the same thing for the upgrades. I'll be sitting here going beep, 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 upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. And then one day I'll just do something and I'm like, whoa. And then all of a sudden I'm like, a bunch of things crack in my body. I'm like, what? This what my body's supposed to feel like? And you're like, what? And then things feel amazing. So especially earlier on, I would get one of those like every other day. Now that I'm getting close to the end game, I'll probably get one like one every 1.5 weeks or something like that. But there'll just be this major shift where something like clicks into place and I'm like, whoa. And that's what happens. That's how it's like a law of nature. This kind of a critical mass effect. You see it, a bunch of snow falls on the roof over there, and then it just kind of takes the weight, and then it keeps falling, and then all of a sudden, the whole roof collapses. That's like a negative, experience. But you can probably think of an analogy as more positive to relate to our graceful upgrading. Things get better and better and better, and then whoosh, they get way better. So this is what I'm trying to share with you guys. As I record these videos, I haven't put any practical content out there. I'm just making my backlog. So for those few of you watching right now, be patient. For those of you discovering this later as I intended, then check us out at bodyfluency.net. We have content there to help you get gracefully upgraded on a daily basis. Wouldn't that be lovely? And if you like this video, like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.